Hey there, chess fans. Today we're going to be looking at my round four game in the Houston Chess Studio October Championship. It was a $3,000 cash prize. Really exciting event. Happened the week before the week before Halloween, and I'm excited to show you this game. I played against a young prodigy. I think he's 9 or 10 years old, Oscar Zhang. So let me show you guys this game. This was really fun. Let me pull up the game here. So I was playing the black pieces, and the game starts off with e4, and after e4, I played the Caro Khan, one of my pet openings. There's d4, d5, and now knight c3 protects his pawn. The trending move now is e5, and that is more aggressive of an option. Okay, and I played pawn takes pawn, he played knight takes pawn, and I played knight f6. And I reserved this against lower rated players. I played against Samuel Gu. I played this move and was able to win with g takes f6 and was really unbalanced, even though it's considered better for white. There's an open g file, there's h pawn pushes, really interesting position. You guys can try if you want an imbalanced aggressive line for black in the Caro. And you want to surprise your opponent and keep them out of their opening book. This is an interesting line. Same opponent, Samuel Gu, another young player, like another teenager. He in another game, I played this move. I had a great position, but he was able to draw me in a tournament in San Marcos, Texas. But anyway, back to the game. This is Oscar Zhang has white. He plays knight f3. He didn't know about the main line, which goes c3, say bishop d6. Bishop d3, castles, knight e2, so that when I play rook e8, there's no check. Castles, let's say h4, maybe sometimes just queen here, h4 threatening h3, and then white plays h3. And this is the kind of typical position. You might play knight d7 to f8 to e6. And after knight f3 in the game, I played bishop d6, and he played bishop d3. I castled. He castled, and I played rook to e8. I think the better option for me was to play. The better option was to play bishop to g4 instead of rook e8. I could play bishop g4, and I knew this was natural, but I had remembered that in some line a player played rook e8, and I want to emphasize to you guys, when you halfway know an opening, if you don't know it really well and you only know some of the ideas, it's very easy to get confused and mix up ideas that you've only lightly studied. In that case, just follow principles of chess. Pretend like you don't even know the opening and just follow principles. If I had done that, this would have given me a really kind of easy position to play here. But okay, I played rook e8, and he played a very creative move. And I could tell after watching Oscar play the Grandmaster in the final round that he didn't really know his openings that well. That's one of the things he can work on. But this is a really interesting creative move. If I just play a developing move, for example, he plays knight f5 attacking my bishop, I go back, and even if I chase the knight away later, say he plays a bishop move, it still just goes into h6 check, and it could be really annoying to deal with this bishop right down my king's area. I played g6 to stop knight f5. He played c3. I played knight d7. Looks like c5 was something I should have considered, because it's more natural to develop the knight to c6 and keep the bishop diagonal open. Oops, not that move. And so I played knight d7. My plan was to play f5 and then to play knight f6. So with the idea of f5, knight f6, and to have a good position for my knight and open the bishop again. Okay, so what ended up happening was he played bishop h6, and I was taken aback with the boy's aggression. So it was interesting. I thought maybe he was still in some kind of weird book line, but it turns out this wasn't opening theory. I struck the center with c5, trying to, after say a random move, trying to make this pawn kind of weak, isolated queen's pawn. I played here. I played f5, nervous because I was worried about the consequences of this, and oh no, there's There's checkmate threats, and he's attacking my bishop. This is a little bit hard to defend. I think even here I could just defend it, maybe attacking the knight and protecting my bishop. But there was an obvious tactic here. In this position, black has an obvious move. So pause the video. What is the obvious move that wins a piece for black? And actually, it's not so obvious. I lied, because after queen takes g5, pause the video again and find the white to move and trap the queen. Actually, so the move is bishop g5. The queen's actually trapped. I just noticed. So we could take this and take this. We get 3 pieces for the queen. 9 points for the queen with a crazy position, but black's structure is weak, and I think white's better. Wow, yeah. So maybe I would have taken here and played knight f6, but this is very scary. He pins. Well, I'm attacking his knight, so maybe I'm okay here. But I was really worried about this position. He didn't play a sacrifice. He just played knight f3, logically trying to get the knight back to the center. Perhaps I should go ahead and take the pawn, and it's okay. I can have easy development now. Knight c5 natural, controlling the e4 square, getting my bishop developed. Very natural moves. If he plays pawn takes, his pawn's now weak. I could play knight to b6 to d5, or knight to f6, even allowing the bishop to g5 to pin me sometimes. So, but anyway, I didn't do this. I played this move, knight f8, and there was a spoiler alert. You probably saw the move. I was gonna say pause the video, and if you didn't see the move, yeah, I should have played knight f6 because it's logical going to the center. Instead, I played knight f8, and Oscar showed his maturity as a chess player, and he played d5 because I can't. My knight just has to go all the way back here again. It can't come out here, and he stops my bishop. Really good move, really mature. It's a protected passed pawn. It can be protected, and that's what Oscar did later. There was a move, knight f6 was far more logical, and bishop g5. I was worried about the pin. I didn't really look at this pawn sacrifice. If he goes back here, that's okay. I could. I wasn't sure if he plays. Oh yeah, that's what it was. It was just bishop takes pawn, and so he has to take the pawn, and knight g5, and I didn't even see this in the game, but now you guys might see there's a pawn takes bishop and knight e3 with a fork threat. That is pretty much game over. Even if there's a check, the king just gets out of the way, and white's gonna lose material. And in the game he played d5, I played queen c7 with the battery attack on this pawn, lining up on this pawn right here. Another move I considered was pawn here, bishop takes, and queen c7. I thought that might have been better, but during the game, Oscar found this resource because I'm attacking the pawn. Knight d2 defends the bishop, and defends the bishop, and the rook defends the pawn, so I'm just down a pawn here. I might be able to play queen b6 check, king over, queen takes pawn when the position is highly unclear because my knight is pretty bad right here. After in the game he played knight d2, once again defending his pawn, and I can't take it, of course, because I can't take the rook defends the bishop. So I played a6. I'm trying to play b5 and develop my bishop, and he can stop this move. Maybe knight c4 actually was the best move, but if he wants to stop it, he should have played a4. I told him after the game that this is a teaching moment. I told him you can play knight c4 and a5 and knight b6. So for example, if I play a move like this and just random moves, Oscar could play here, and he was worried about this weak pawn, but the knight could always come here and just simply protect the pawn, and so he didn't need to be worried about anything. The reason why the move that he played was c4, it blocks his bishop and knight. That's not good. And I could always like sack a pawn here and go after this pawn later, like a Binko gambit or something. But I told him that, yeah, just a4 was much stronger. Or maybe knight c4 was interesting. So he played c4 and I played knight d7, trying to get my knight back in the game. Queen f3, connecting his rooks. Knight f6, rook a e1, bishop d7, were both challenging the open file. Bishop g5 was an interesting move, and I played knight h5 because he's attacking my knight, and he goes bishop here, and after a long think, about 10 minutes, I played bishop back to trade bishops. I was actually in the middle of calculating h6. I had seen this move, and check out what I saw. This was actually a brilliant move that I missed. If bishop back here, I get to take a free pawn. But if he takes here, king h7, I had seen this move. I saw this move. I saw this move, and then I finally saw I was gonna do this, but then I was afraid of queen h3 because if I take the bishop, yes, bishop takes knight, and I assumed, which is false here, I assumed I should take this, but then if I take, this is very bad for me. I thought this is at least a draw. In fact, he can at least get a draw, but he probably can swing a rook over, a rook lift, and checkmate my king. I probably am losing here, so that's why I didn't do this. However, bishop takes f4. Absolutely brilliant move right here. Just leaving it hanging, letting him do discovered attacks. For example, if he tries to break through and I take here, and now his knight's under attack. Say he moves his knight, and then I could just play rook over here, and his queen's completely trapped. This is just one sample line of what could happen. So that, yeah, bishop takes f4, completely crushing move that I missed. If I just would have seen one move deeper, I could have cleaned up the game right there. But bishop e7, and he played bishop h6. To my relief, he didn't trade bishops, and I got to play a bishop to a nice diagonal. I finally have a slight advantage from kind of a bad, okay opening. Knight b3, putting pressure on my pawn. I had played knight g7. I think bishop a4 is much better. There were some lines that I was worried about where he moves his queen away, and then he plays bishop takes and forces me to weaken my pawn structure. Definitely this move would have been really interesting, because after I remove the knight, I have this like bishop d4 check ideas. Anyway, should have gone for that, but I patiently played knight backwards, which, again, this poor knight is a tortured soul. He's not very active. Queen f2, attacking my pawn with the knight and queen. I played b6 to defend it. Bishop to f3 because he wants to play d6, which would release this attack on my rook. So I blocked it with queen d6. King h1 because after the knight moves, he wants to stop this kind of scary stuff against his king where he's pinned and loses the queen. After a5, I'm going to push the knight back. I'm expanding my pawns on the queen side, gaining space. His knight goes to a really awkward square now. Meanwhile, his queen is busy protecting the pawn, and I think black is equal or slightly better here again. He played b3, trying to maintain his pawn chain, and this is a really interesting moment. I think correct was to take here, because if he takes with the knight, I get a free pawn. But if in the game I took here, and immediately there was a weakness here, but it turns out this pawn was even more weak. I could have played the smooth rook a3 and kept the tension, and if he ever moves the knight, my rook is putting pressure here. His queen can't even approach my rook to attack it, thanks to my bishop here. So this is a really smooth move. I can even double rooks later, and later if I want to, I could transfer the weakness from this pawn, and I could trade here, and if he does that, again, my rook's even more active. But yeah, what I was saying was, like, he plays a random move, and later on I could transfer the weakness and maybe even go after this pawn. And so I have lots of flexibility. Instead of being flexible, I took here a little bit early, but now is the start of my wrong plan. I thought this looked beautiful. I was like, okay, my rook is active. I'm going to get both rooks in here. He can't really invade over here. But the key to his invasion into this area, and especially e7 square, was this wonderful bishop g5 maneuver. And my bishop has no good home. As you'll see, the knight could just attack it. So what happened was, I thought this is amazing, but I should have went ahead and immediately started targeting the weak pawn that I created. Why not? I should have done that. Good learning lesson there. Bishop g5, and oops, this is not what happened. I played rook eb8, and then he played the really good bishop g5. Now I played rook b2, just helping his queen get more active, thinking that I'm pushing him into bad squares. He plays the really good move, queen e3, because he's threatening to let's say I play a random move. He trades here and gets his queen to a wonderful square on open file, or even queen e7. And the other thing I overlooked when I took this pawn was that I'm actually opening up his knight to have more squares. And yeah, another move I could have considered was b4 with an outpost and trying to control the c file. So it wasn't bad taking the pawn exactly, but it led to this position. After bishop g5, I played rook b2, which only helped his queen. He found this move. He knew that when I played rook e8, he was waiting for me, and he had queen a3 falling right into his plans. And I thought I would easily force his queen to passivity because I played rook b4, and I thought this is really great. It looks like at this point I should have backtracked and doubled rooks or something, or traded up this bishop and maybe doubled rooks. And but the knight can come to a good square, and we get something crazy like where I'm down a pawn. I'm in serious trouble, for example. So it's better to not even take his bishop. I would probably have to go ahead and double rooks here when he takes. Now it's getting hard for black, though. I have compensation for the pawn, but it's getting really hard for black. And the computer found this move. For you more advanced players, in this position, find a really good move for black. And yeah, I didn't see this. The computer engine found rook b1. Oh, not this position. I apologize. And in this position, the computer engine found rook b1. And then black gets counterplay against the back rank, which is actually weak because the king has no escape squares right now. The white king has no escape squares. So that move would have been the best move in the position, in an already deteriorating position. But I stuck to my guns and played rook b4, unfortunately. I thought I was really having a great position here. He took, and I started wondering, oh no, as soon as I played rook b4, I saw him do this, and hopefully I didn't give you too many hints, but try to find the move that would give me a hard time. Yes, knight d3 is what he played. And I played rook to a4, and I had originally planned rook takes c4, but why do I get crushed here? Pause the video. And if you found knight e5, good job, because my rook and my knight are both under attack. My rook and my bishop are both under attack by the knight, I mean. And yeah, this is not good. So I played rook a5. He takes a free pawn. With my back against the wall, I'm more resourceful than ever. And let me know, guys, in the comments if you find yourself when you're equal or better that you're nervous and you can't focus that well. But when you're like backs against the wall, you don't worry about the result anymore, and you just fight really hard. You fight. You can focus and everything. And that happens to me. I'm just curious if it happens to you guys too. Rook c8, attacking the queen. Queen e7. I traded queens, and yeah, my back's against the wall, and I could have resigned here. Really terrible position, really terrible. But I saw that I could keep fighting, and I was hoping for this move, which he played. And after this pin, I could see Oscar's ego was deflated a little bit. He played rook d1. He's still winning, actually. I could tell here, and I offered. I think I offered a draw here, and he declined it. The first offer. And he played the really passive knight f2, and he was shaking his head. Find a better move for Oscar. And pause the video. And yeah, the correct answer is knight to e5. And if I trade, he still has so many active threats, and his pawns are coming up the board, and it's terrible. I'm not going to do really well here. But Oscar played the passive knight f2. I traded, and he played knight takes. I played knight e6, forking these two. But now he has two scary pawns. I thought about rook takes d6. After he plays c7, I might have had to sack it anyway. And this is not good for me. I'm just down too much material. So I played bishop takes c6. I played this bishop takes c6, sacrificing a piece. And I took here, attacking the knight. And my knight's attacking the pawn. He went back. I'm also attacking this bishop. The only move for white is he could play bishop a4, I guess, but he played bishop f3. I played knight takes f4, offered a draw, and we agreed to the draw. He had white had winning chances, and Oscar knew it. But after another 4-hour game, both of us were ready for the next game, and he got the rating points for this game, and because he's 1800 something, 1835, and I'm 2141 in this game. But thanks to this draw, we were both. He got to play the Grandmaster, and I got to play the sensational 13-year-old Ryo Chin. I can't wait to upload the next video to show you my game against Ryo Chin in round 5. And so the miracle draw here paved the way to face Ryo Chin, 13-year-old Ryo Chin in the last round. Please leave a comment if you have something interesting that you'd like to say. I try to respond to all the comments. And if you like the video, please give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It means a lot. And see you guys later. And yeah, see you in the next video.